If you're a struggling trader using SMC, this is the video for you guys, just because I'm gonna break down market structure up until the entry point that we took on USD And of course the video is there, guys. I dropped the video on USD I think yesterday. If you didn't watch the video, make sure that you use the link in the pinned comment. So without wasting any time, let's get into the charts, guys, so that you can get to understand the ins and outs of that trade up until we got to the position whereby we anticipate our selling opportunities on USD guys. So without further ado, let's get into the screen, guys. Okay guys, thank you for joining me on the charts. And then this is the USD setup that I shared yesterday, and like I said, you can just watch the video using the link in the description below so that you can get to understand like the thought process behind this overall trade here. And it's still in motion just because the overall target is around this area here, and I didn't remove anything. Everything is from just the previous video, guys. So it's overall 14%, and this trade here is already at like 5%, but like we are in a pullback phase at the moment. Let me just do this. Let me just do this. So as you can see, the market is currently here, so it's around 2.76%, guys, of which it's nice. It's very nice. So we can just move over to the daily time, to the 4-hour time frame, so that you can just see like the overall process of how I got to analyze like each and everything here. So I'm just gonna remove everything so that you can understand, guys. Now, so let me just remove. So as you can see here, this is the overall structure. We are pushing to the downside, creating lower lows and lower highs, guys. Now, so as you can see from this point here, we had our high, our lower high, then we had a lower low, then this is a lower high, then we had a lower low, lower high around here, then we had a lower low, lower high. So each and every time you have like a lower low, then that is when you get like a valid break of structure, depending on how you consider, or depending on how like you consider like your pullbacks and valid or invalid pullbacks, guys. Now, so let's see around here, we have a break of structure here, just like that. Shows that the market is pushing down. Then around here we were expecting another break of structure. So as you can see here, after even the break of structure, what happened, the market pulled down, giving us a lower low, then pulled back into an area of interest, of which it's this one here, that is the fair value gap, or in imbalance. Then at the top of the structure we have a supply zone within this point here. So after even the supply, the market mitigated that area, then pushed down, giving us a new lower low in form of a break of structure, just like that. So as you can see here, the market was just pushing to the downside, so there is no need for you to be looking for buying opportunities, is because the overall momentum is to the downside. So around here we can get to determine our pullback. As you can see here, we didn't have the 3-candle pullback up until this low here. So that low is our overall lower low. Then the market pulled back into this area of interest, and then you can just use your Fibonacci tool just to see if like an area is valid or an invalid, guys. Now, so as you can see from the high to the low, just like that, you can obviously see that the market did not reach any area of interest, just because the area of interest that we can look for was this one here, this supply zone around here. And then the golden zone obviously is our go-to setup, guys. So as you always know, we use the golden zone very much. So we failed to do that. Then the market did what? Broke the previous low, giving us a new break of structure just around this point here. Then after even the break of structure, you can obviously see that we had a 3-candle pullback around this point, which means what? This is our high, and then this is our low, lower high, then we had a lower low around that point, which results in another break of structure, just like that. Then after having the BOS, we already know that we have to move over to the lower time frame so that we can look for selling opportunities within this area here, just because this is our area of supply. And then we also had some relatively equal highs around here, of which that is your liquidity, guys. So after even that liquidity, we know that the market has to tap here, then sell off. And then what happened is that the market mitigated that supply area, sold off, and then came back to push to the upside, just because we also had this area here of supply. And then another important key concept here was the double top here, of which this is liquidity, guys. So that is when the market decided to push up, tap into this area. Then that is when we are starting to sell off, looking at this low point here. So I'm just waiting to see if we can continue pushing down, just because we broke some structure areas, guys. Nah? So moving over to the 15-minute, that is where we decided to look for our entry confirmations, guys. Nah? So as you can see from this point here, we had this structure here, we had this low, higher low, higher high, guys, higher low. Then we had this internal structures. This is internal, as you can see. Then we had a higher high and then a lower low. That means we had a change of character. And then I didn't explain each and everything correctly when it comes to this structure here, guys. I'm sorry about that for those who did not understand, or for those who were confused, just because I was also zoomed in to a point whereby I was looking at this internal structure as our overall structure. And then I apologize about that, just because the overall structure, if you look at it on the 1 hour time frame, you can obviously see that this is the internal structure here. I'll just remove the supply zone here and remove this liquidity, just because it was already mitigated. Then this is the structure. We had our high, low, then we had a high, low here, then we had our higher high, of which resulted into a lower low. That is a confirmation entry right there on the 1 hour. So this is your HIGH, just because this is an internal change of character, guys. So after even the internal change of character, we had a liquidity sweep at the top. So after even this sweep, obviously we know that we must have a change of character coming up so that we can sell. So around here, you can just use your Fibonacci tool from the high to the low so that we can tap into an area of interest. So as you can see here, we also have an area of interest right there, of which the market mitigated into the supply area. Then we had another one, of which it's this one here. Then I'm just mapping out all the supply areas so that you can understand like how I take trades, or how I take my overall entries. So we had 2 supply areas, and maximum I like 3, having 3 supply or demand zones, guys. So as you can see from this point here, we didn't have like any area of supply, just because this one was already mitigated. And then we also had like some type of a sweep around here. So this is a sweep of liquidity also, just because whenever you're looking at supply and demand, there must be a sweep of a previous high, just like that. As you can see here, this is a sweep. And then if you look closely on the 15-minute time frame, on the current one that the market mitigated, you can obviously see that we also had that sweep. So we can just do this, cater for the current structure around here, which it's this one here. Then this is a smaller sweep of that high, just like that. So this is the smaller sweep that I'm talking about around this area here. So it confirms that this is your supply area and it's valid, guys. So we can just remove that. And then if you're into like more confirmations, this would have been your confirmation around here, guys. As you can see, the market is pushing up, creating your low, your high, your low around here. Then you have your high, then you have your low. Then the market failed to break the previous high. As you can see, we failed to break the previous high, just like that. Then we had your lower low around that point. So this is your area. If you want to like more confirmations, you can just do this. Then we had another liquidity area around here, just like that. We can just use an X, and then your buy to sell candle was this one here. So this is where you would have taken your entry. That is if you are into like more confirmations, just because some of you get confused as to where you take your entry. But like, I'll make sure that you get to learn everything. So as you can see here, this was a nice 4%, unlike the one that we were anticipating for around 14%, which means that this one would be a monstrous trade, guys. So around here, you can see that this one is a 15%, so there is no need for you to get everything complicated, guys. So we are looking at the low, this current low, obviously, for that movement to the downside, then pull back into this area, just like that, up until we take out this low on USD JPY, guys. So I think I've explained everything to a T. And then if you didn't understand, make sure that you drop a comment in the comment section, and then I'll just respond to you guys so that you can get the help that you need. And like I said, the inner circle is available for you guys, for those who know or want to know how I trade, just because it's a bit simple and it's straightforward. And then if you're a beginner trader, this will be very easy for you. And if you're already in the trading game, it can take you even a week or 2 weeks to understand market structure or your supply and demand the way that I do. So I'll see you on another video, guys. Peace and love.